Are we on?
We are on. We're back.
All
So
right.
welcome again, everybody. Thank you for joining us again for 26 letters. And today, as we spoke last week, we're going to go ahead and begin with our F's and G's. So this time, again, you may hear a bunch of different words, but we're going to try to focus on building your vocabulary of resilient-minded living with words that are positive in nature that begin with the letter G and the letter F.
Well, I'm going to slide back into E for a minute, Margaret.
sure,
Because I
sure.
thought of this after we turned our recording off last time. Really what we're looking at with resiliency is emotional wellness. And I know
Yes.
you've seen a great increase in the words mental health, especially now. Those words sometimes have a stigma attached, whether
they
we
do.
like it or not.
Yeah, you're
so
correct.
what we have started to tell people, let's look at emotional wellness.
Yeah.
And it just feels more uplifting.
No, that's
energetic.
awesome. Well, and it is, and it goes along with resiliency.
Absolutely.
It goes along with being resilient. I'm emotionally well because we all
Exactly.
know sometimes we're not.
That's right.
Just like physical wellness. Sometimes you're fine, sometimes you feel sick.
Right.
So, yeah, good one. Mm-hmm. So, what are your thoughts, Chris?
Well, when I looked at F, I thought of the word, first of all, flexibility.
Oh, heck yeah.
And I used to say in one of my classes, if I could tattoo anything on the kids' foreheads, it would be adjust, because
Right.
change is just part of life.
Yeah, it is.
And being flexible is not always easy, and it's really hard for some people. But I think being a resilient person means that sometime you just have to be a little more like Gumby.
Well, and I have it's funny you said that because I have a flexibility, it's a t-shirt for yoga it says flexibility, but it says bending so I don't break.
Exactly, but
And
that's
it's exactly what it is.
It
yeah,
is.
it's bending so
It's
we don't
bending
break.
so you don't break. And
Absolutely.
it's not, there's a thin line between bending and breaking.
100%.
And part of becoming emotionally well is understanding where you are on that.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I think, too, going along with all those things, as I was looking at the F's in my life, of course, the first one that comes to my mind is faith. Whatever that is for any of you. And you have to understand what that is relative to you and your beliefs and your lifestyle. For me, my faith and a belief in something bigger than me is guiding and controlling my life, and allowing me to do the things that I'm doing gives me hope and gives me peace and allows me to be flexible and allows me to be emotionally well. It allows me to work to strengthen my family. Another F, which is huge in my life, is my family. Because they just bring such a sense of peace. Now, does that mean I have the perfect family? Well, if you ask me, yes. If I'm being realistic, absolutely not. We all have our faults.
Yes, F
Which,
that one.
Another F on that one. Yeah, is faults. But I use the word fault not to imply imperfections, but to imply with faults. We can look at that in the resilient minded. If we look at the letter G at fast forward, there's opportunity for growth. So faults are not necessarily a bad thing. They promote resiliency if we choose to not stay stuck in it and push forward to how do I learn and grow from it.
Well, and I have one, it kind of goes with that, and that is fit.
Oh,
and I don't
yeah.
mean physically fit.
No.
This is kind of a different concept. If you've ever been somewhere where you felt like you didn't fit, we talked
So
about,
you don't belong.
Well, we
Back
talked
to our
about
B
belonging,
words.
back to
Yeah,
our B's,
yeah.
but that is a very, very interesting thing because usually you don't understand it until you're out of it. And you look back and it's like, oh, it wasn't me.
No, I
Maybe
just didn't fit.
That group of people I didn't fit there, or that church, or that classroom, that teacher just wasn't a good fit for my kid. And so that's really, really important, that feeling of fit. It does go with belonging. It goes with C for comfort. It goes with a lot
Yeah.
of those words. And,
Yeah.
it goes with discouragement.
Oh,
So
yes.
feeling like you fit somewhere is really, really important. And that's the big thing with family.
Yeah.
No matter how crazy they are and how much you want to wring their necks,
Absolutely.
you love them.
Right. And you fit
you
with
fit.
some of them.
You
Not all of them
fit.
always, but
No.
but yeah, you do
it's
fit.
your-
There is that sense of,
So
okay.
I'm going to go also, though, with fun.
Oh,
Because
that's one of
first-
mine.
Well,
It's
Margaret
one of
is
mine.
a fun person.
Oh,
but,
so are you, Chris.
You know, she just can always, we can always find something to laugh about.
We do find something to laugh at.
We always find something to laugh about. But I know it goes back to Glasser, who said, you know, that is one of the 4 essential
yeah.
needs. And
Yeah.
I really believe that. And kids know that. If you're in a classroom with a teacher who's fun,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you're not learning.
No, gosh,
It just
no.
means you're enjoying learning.
Right.
And
Well,
that's,
I think you tend to learn more because science has shown
Oh.
that when we laugh, you release a different set of endorphins.
it's the endorphins.
And that different part of your brain is accessed deep
Yes.
down in, and we don't forget. And when you can promote laughter,
oh, gosh.
think about what laughter does, though. Think about what fun does. It draws people in
It
instead of
does.
pushing people away. People are like, what are they laughing at? They look like they're having fun. I want to see what's going on, so they draw to you. So fun is, 100% right there.
Well, if you have that person, I know I have a cousin, all we have to do is look at each other.
And you start laughing.
And we know what we're both laughing at. It is absolutely spooky, and nobody
Right.
else they wouldn't think it was funny.
So you're funny. There's another
Funny.
one. Funny
So,
and
yes,
yeah, and
fun
having
and
fun.
funny
I
and,
I think 2 other very strong words that promote resiliency are friendships and friends.
Oh gosh, yes.
You've got to have those connections. Back to our C's, you know, the connection of having a friend and having friendships. And I think the other one, I think it's a big, big, big word that holds us back from being resilient, and that is forgiveness.
Yeah.
I think we think,
It's easy to talk about.
well, it is, and it's very
It's
hard
harder
to
to
do.
do.
But that's because the general population thinks
it's
forgiving
weak. means
I'm forgetting and I'm
Yeah.
letting you off the hook. And it's no. I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm just choosing not to keep myself on the hook anymore. And I have to find a way to let it go, or I indeed stay stuck.
You make yourself sick.
Yeah, and none of this
Right.
matters then, because I can't move forward. If I
Right.
don't forgive you, what am I doing? I'm harboring judgment. All the yuck feelings are coming back in, and it's like, I can't. So forgiveness in the world of resiliency. Look at our world right now. Look at the pandemic.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things and a lot of stuff that took place that we could be judgmental about, that we could harbor
Angry.
malice, we could be angry.
Hateful.
But if we stop and look at the pandemic had no rules, there was no playbook for this. We had to be flexible
Yes.
in every single thing we
right.
did, from closing restaurants to closing schools to wearing masks
Shopping
to canceling
differently.
shoppings
Yes.
to doing things online. We had to be flexible. And there are a lot of things that we were angry at because we didn't know what we didn't know.
Right.
So we can choose to stay angry as we see things spiking, or we can find ways to forgive, grow, and make it better.
Yeah, I always said to myself, if this was like before, if you locked me in my house, I could have a clean house within 4 days. Well, I found out
That you didn't?
I was pretty much locked in my house, and yeah, that didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
So, and it's funny because I literally had to say, I have to forgive myself for that, but I just learned it's not that easy.
Right.
So yeah.
No, it absolutely isn't. And I think, too, if we start looking, you know, because we are F's and G's this
look at
time.
those Gs.
My G's right away, and you can elaborate. The first 4 that came to my mind was generosity, grace, gratitude, and growth. But then one that came to my mind, I was thinking fast forward to Thanksgiving, and it was like, oh my gosh, gobble. That's my favorite G, gobble, gobble. I can't wait to gobble my food. And so that's a fun G for me. F and G together, fun gobble. So, but those were mine right off the bat. Generosity, which goes with our circle of courage that we have talked about. I think we have to give grace, which goes along with forgiveness, and realize that we got to have room to make mistakes, because there's no perfect anything with what we're living. And yet there's so much in my life that I have learned to be grateful for and have gratitude. And for myself, I found, and I'll tell you, Chris, and you know me and you know my personality, I thought I was going to go off the hook with the pandemic and having to slow down. But I became so grateful and had so much gratitude
You had to slow down.
for slowing down. You
needed
know
it.
what? I actually liked it.
Yeah.
I liked slowing down. And what that did was go right back to what we're talking about. It forced me to relook at things in my entire life, which has promoted
Yeah.
some growth in different areas.
And I think that will happen as we look at what this did. You know, I can't separate gratitude from generosity.
oh gosh, no,
can't.
I would agree with you.
And you know, my mother passed away during
Mm-hmm.
COVID, and she didn't have COVID, but during the pandemic. But something I learned from her and actually labeled it, I call them intentional acts of generosity.
Oh, wow.
And I try to do one. This sounds, I know, it's weird and it's personal, but I try to do an intentional act of generosity every day.
For Fred.
Well, sometimes for him, but just something good. My mom was a card sender.
Oh,
and you know, this generation
okay.
doesn't necessarily send
I
cards.
love cards.
I do too.
Love cards.
And no matter what, even when she couldn't see people, she was sending cards and making phone calls.
Wow.
So I think those connections show that we're grateful, and then that feeds our generosity. I think it's very, very important. The other is grief and loss.
Oh,
and
gosh,
those
yeah.
aren't positive words. But if ever there were good studies on resilience, it's
Yes.
how people deal with grief and loss. And it's short term, it's long term, it changes your life forever. But it's part of resilience, because if we love, we will lose people.
Well,
in the
and-
proper order, we will lose grandparents and parents, and that's the way it is. Siblings, you know, loving means loss,
Yeah.
but also means grateful. Be grateful that you
Right.
loved that person.
Well, and I think you bring it up. Grief and loss may not be what we would term real positive words. However, they promote growth and positivity, and I
And
think
gratitude.
that and gratitude
And generosity.
And we would be very remiss in even doing the 26 letters if we did not address those two words, especially in the last year that we have lived, because there were many, many, many reasons for grief, from the loss of life to the loss of simple daily things we used to do.
Comfort.
Absolutely. And when we look at grief, our whole world, we grieved at a national level, global level, local level, in your family, as an individual. So yeah, I think we would be remiss. I'm glad you brought those two words up. I think we would be very remiss if we did not address. Some folks are there. And why is that important to talk about, even if they're not real positive words? Because you have a choice. We can belabor staying stuck in our losses and feeling grief, or we can say, how do I make it better? How do I promote growth and opportunity out of what has been changed?
Well, I think of, I recently lost my cousin, who was, in my opinion, too young to die. He's a lot younger than me. But what
that is young.
Yeah, that's young.
That's
but
really
what
young.
his sister did was make for everybody who loved him a little plaque that had his favorite words from Instant Karma or whatever. It's a John Lennon song.
Okay.
Whatever it's called. But they are "We All Shine On," those words.
Wow.
And so she couldn't change what was happening to her brother
Right.
as he was getting sicker. But she did something generous for us, and also showed her gratitude to people who had been supporting them through his illness.
Wow.
So I think doing something is really important in our growth, whatever that means.
And yet, it takes me to another word. It just came to me. It was not here on my list, but as you're speaking of your cousin and the loss there, it's gifts.
Oh, yes.
It's gifts. The
right.
fact that each and every one of us, as human beings, every student, every child, every adult, is truly a gift. And that gift possesses their own treasures and how you see them, and they possess their own talents. So, yeah, that came to me just speaking of your cousin. It's like, wow, what a gift is the thought that I had in my head. What a gift, and what a gift for your other cousin to go
be
ahead
able to
and
do
make a
that.
plaque.
So you're
Yeah.
creeping me out a little bit, because
gosh.
on my E words,
Oh, no.
well, I'm going to read it to you. I put empower and elevate. And remember those people who encouraged us to shine, and this is before my cousin passed.
Oh,
We use our skills, unique gifts, and talents. And all of that goes back to effective leadership and
Right.
effective friendship.
Right.
And just being effective and resilient people.
Well, and I'm glad that you brought that up too, though. Again, you're kind of sparking a few things here. And yes, we haven't gotten to the L's yet, but when you say leadership,
Oh, that's a big one.
it's huge
That's big
because
L.
when we teach and we role model and we expect our young people to follow these words, these positivities, a different way of seeing life is not all doom and gloom, but yes, things are going to happen and we have choices and options in front of us. That's modeled. And if we have leaders live in negativity and harboring judgment and unable to forgive and can't show gratitude and growth,
Grace.
can't be diligent, give grace, how do we expect the young people that are tomorrow's future,
Today's
future
present.
F,
Yep.
to do the same thing?
Right.
So yeah, great,
It's
great.
all connected, Margaret.
It's all
of it.
connected.
Yep.
Well, once again, in the essence of time, we would love to thank our listening audience for joining us for today's letters F and G's. And we look forward to you joining us the next time when we tackle high H and
and I.
I's. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe and healthy.
Bless you. Bye.